Hi crafters, welcome to the Purl Stitch knitting tutorial. In the previous tutorial we learned how to do the knit stitch. Today we'll learn how to do the purl stitch. Knitting has only two types of stitches, the knit stitch and the purl stitch. From these stitches you can make a wide variety of stitches like the stockinette stitch and the garter stitch. This is a sample of fabric that I made using the knit stitch from our previous tutorial. We'll use this sample to see the different variations in the purl stitch and the knit stitch. For the purl stitch, we'll use 2 knitting needles and some yarn. I prefer using the worsted yarn or yarn that is chunky so that you can see the way the stitches are formed. Just like the knit stitch, we'll begin by casting on. Casting on for right-handers. Start by making a loop, just like the way you did in the knit stitch. Then have your needle in your right hand. Insert it into the loop. And then we'll cast on 16 stitches. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. We have 16 cast on stitches. With the knit stitch, our needle in the right hand, we were inserting it towards the back of the needle in the left hand. Then wrapping the yarn over that needle, then pulling up that loop and taking out that stitch. That's the way we were doing the knit stitch in the previous tutorial. I've decided to change the color of the yarn for easy visibility. Unlike the knit stitch, for the purl stitch, you insert your needle from back to front on that first stitch. Back to front, then your needle comes upwards. Another difference is, with the purl stitch, our yarn is at the front of our work, always at the front, unlike the knit stitch, whereby our yarn was at the back of our work. After inserting your needle from back to front, making sure that your yarn is at the front of your work, then wrap the yarn on your needle in an anti-clockwise direction. Wrap the yarn. Then pull up the loop that has been formed, that loop, and then slide off the first stitch formed like that. Let's do that again with our yarn at the front of our work. Insert your needle from back to front. Wrap the yarn over your needle. Then pull up that loop. Oops. Pull up the loop. Then slide off the stitch on the left needle. Let's do it again. Back to front, then up. Wrap your yarn. Then pull up that loop, this loop, then slide off the stitch of the needle on the left hand. Let's do that again till the end. Back to front, wrap the yarn in anti-clockwise direction, then pull up that loop, then slide off that stitch. Back to front, wrap, pull up, then slide off. Also, you can see that I'm using my fingers to control the tension and also to choose the loop that will slide off the needle. Like that. Again, back to front. Okay, let's do that till the end, having 16 purl stitches in total. We just completed our first row of purl stitches. Tension can be a challenge with the purl stitch, but with practice you'll get your tension right. Don't worry about it being perfect. Next, we'll do another row just to illustrate how the purl stitch is done. Then make a couple of rows to show you the difference between the purl stitch and the knit stitch, as well as their similarities. Okay, just like we've been doing, insert your needle from the back to the front, making sure that your yarn is at the front of your work. Don't worry about the tail of your yarn, just hold it in between your fingers. Then also slide up your loops so that it's easier to get them off the needle. So back to front, making sure the yarn is at the front of the work. Then wrap your needle with the yarn.
Got some kick.
Then pull up the loop. Then slide off that first stitch. Let's pull the stitches up. Okay, insert from back to front. Wrap your yarn. Pick up that loop, then slide off that stitch from the left. Again, to front, wrap around, pick up that loop, and slide off. Again, we'll do this till the end to have 16 purl stitches. Use your fingers to help you control which loops you want to take off. Just observe my fingers. Then we'll get to the end and see how our second row of purl stitches looks like. I made a couple of rows of the purl stitch. Look how beautiful it looks. Let's make another row together. As I said, from back to front. Always remember to pull up your loops, makes it easier to take them off. Okay, from back to front, making sure that our yarn is at the front of our work. Then wrap your yarn on your needle, around your needle, pull up that loop and take off the stitch. Again, back to front, wrap the yarn, pull up a loop and take off the stitch. Front, wrap around, pull and take off. back to front, back. Once you've mastered how to make these 2 stitches, you can make so many knitted stitches. These 2 are just the basic stitches in knitting. That's how my purl stitches look. Here are my purl stitches. There's a right side and a wrong side. Well, you might be wondering how to tell the knit stitch from the purl stitch. The purl stitch forms bumps, these pretty bumps all through the fabric, while the knit stitch has V-like shapes. I hope you can see the V's. Yes, yeah, the V's. The V's are the knit stitches and the bumps are the purl stitches. One fun fact is the knit stitch is the purl stitch and the purl stitch is the knit stitch. A little confusing, but what I mean is when you flip around your purl stitch, that is the back side of the work, you'll get your knit stitches. Then when you flip around your knit stitch, that is the wrong side of your knit stitch, that is the purl stitch. So depending on which stitch is your right side, the other stitch is your wrong side. From our previous tutorial, we also learned the garter stitch is knit stitch on every row. So this fabric has the garter stitch. What's fascinating about the garter stitch is it's a combination of the knit and the purl stitches. If you can see, you have the V's in there somewhere, and then the next row is a purl stitch. That's because we're alternating. Even though we are knitting on every row, there's a point whereby we are doing the purl stitch on the wrong side. Here it is. You can see the bumps, and then the V shapes. I'm still knitting my garter stitch scarf. When this ball of yarn is over, I'll alternate my stitch to the purl stitch, then have the 2 different kinds of stitches on one item. Then we'll also learn how to cast off your work. When you get to the end of your project, how do you cast off or how do you bind off? And we'll do the binding off stitch for right-handers. This tutorial is part of a series, the knitting tutorial series. You can find the playlist on YouTube. From this playlist, we'll have techniques such as how to increase and decrease stitches in knitting, as well as other knitting stitches like the cable stitch. Thank you for your time and your support. Please comment down below what you're going to make with these 2 stitches, the purl stitch and the knit stitch. Thank you once again. Please continue supporting this channel by liking, sharing, subscribing and commenting. See you on the next tutorial, crafters.